latest ITV news in the Tyne region with Ian Payne and Amy Lee.
Hello and good evening. Thanks for joining us.
On tonight's programme, the notorious child killer Ian Huntley's attacked in a County Durham prison. We're live with the latest.
The School of Hard Knocks. The Prime Minister is in Newcastle to defend his send plan after a bruising week in Parliament.
From ember to inferno, how a barbecue's thought to have started the devastating Moorland fires of last summer.
And everyone's doing a brand new dance, but will they be moving and shaking their way into the record books? Find out later in the programme.
First tonight to the notorious double child killer who's thought to be fighting for his life in a Newcastle hospital after being attacked in a County Durham prison.
Ian Huntley has been serving a life sentence at HMP Frankland's for the murders of schoolgirls Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman in 2002. We can join our correspondent Rachel Bullock with the latest for us this evening. Rachel.
Well, the prison service are confirming very little this evening, but ITV News understands that Ian Huntley was attacked with an iron bar outside a prison workshop just before 9 o'clock this morning. He was taken to hospital, which we believe to be Newcastle's RVI, with serious head injuries. He remains in a serious condition and he's believed to be under armed police guard. Huntley is 21 years into his life term here at Frankland Prison. He is, of course, a notorious child murderer. He lured best friends Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman into his home in Soame in Cambridgeshire in 2002. And when the 10-year-old girls failed to arrive home, a full-scale police investigation was launched. Their bodies were found in a ditch 2 weeks later. During that police search, Huntley gave television interviews to talk about the shock in the local community until he himself was arrested, charged and convicted with the girls' murder. A crime, needless to say, so horrific that it has made him something of a target while in prison. ITV News understands that in the last year alone that there have been several attempts by other inmates to attack him, culminating, it would seem, in the incident here this morning. Ian Huntley is now 52. Durham Police released a statement just in the last hour. They told us that a 52-year-old prisoner remains in a serious condition for head injuries. Their forensic teams have spent the whole day here at the prison at the scene of the alleged attack to gather evidence, and they tell us that a male prisoner in his mid-40s has been identified. He has not been arrested at this stage, they say, but he remains in detention inside the prison behind me. So as things stand tonight, one of the UK's most notorious double child killers, critically ill in hospital.
Rachel Bullock reporting for us there at Frankland Prison in County Durham. Rachel, thank you.
Next tonight, and the Prime Minister has told us he guarantees the legal rights to support won't be stripped away from children with special educational needs and disabilities.
Sir Keir Starmer was on a visit to a school in Newcastle this morning, just days after the government published their Send White Paper, which they say will overhaul a broken system.
But not everyone's convinced. Our political correspondent Tom Sheldrick puts some of those points to the PM today.
What do, you sort of describe the storm?
It's been a stormy few weeks for Sir Keir Starmer, and even this Year 7 English class offered little escape from the question of how long he can survive as Prime Minister.
My heart pounded with the thought of not surviving. Yeah.
But I wanted to ask him about the job prospects of youngsters like these. In the North East, more than 1 in 6 young people are not in education, employment or training. That's worse than any other region. It's got worse under your government. It's because of your policies, isn't it?
This has been a long-standing problem, and we need to turn it around. Let me take that challenge on. And that's why we're putting in place a youth guarantee, which is a 2-year project for young people, which gives them the support they need to get into work at the beginning of the 2 years, And then if after 18 months they're still not in work, the government then backs 6 months' worth of work for those young people, particularly here in the northeast, because all the evidence is that if you can get a young person in to a work environment for a number of months, the chances are they'll make a success of it. Not all of them will, but a lot of them will be able to and make a big difference.
Forgive me, many businesses say they can't afford to hire workers because you've increased their national insurance contributions. You're also increasing the minimum wage, particularly for young people. Can I ask you, are you going to slow down your plans to pay adults of all ages the same minimum wage?
Well, we've got a manifesto commitment in relation to that. On national insurance contributions, as you know, they're not paid on under 21. So we can find a path for young people to come into work. The youth guarantee is really important because that is government funding of the employment opportunities. So we're working with businesses, but we're not saying to businesses, you pick up the cost. We're saying we, the government, will pick up the cost.
So why has it gone up under your government? Why has this gone up under your government?
Well, that's why we're taking these measures. Well, then the evidence is, we did this under the last Labour government, if you can get a young person into a work environment for a number of months, the chances are they'll be able to carry on in that work environment. If you don't give them that chance, it's so much more difficult. So that's the big change we're putting in place.
On Monday, the government announced big changes to the system for children with special educational needs and disabilities.
It should be a general provision that is made available without a fight.
The PM spoke to pupils and teachers about that, and I put to him the reaction of one local SEND parent. Kerry from County Durham says she's now filled with fear that legal rights for support will be stripped away. She asked, can you guarantee that won't happen?
Yes, I can. And it's really important that parents hear me say that the rights that they have will be grounded in law. What we want to do is to move away from the individual fights that parents have to have, because I know how hard it is for parents fighting individually, plan by plan. It takes a lot out of parents to make sure the provision is there for every child who needs it. But the second point I've made, just to reassure parents, is this: that the resource will go in, the training will go in, the packages will go in, but we won't make any changes until all of that is in place.
I've got to clarify, your white paper says that makes clear some younger children with EHCPs will lose them when they get to secondary school, won't they?
Well, a small number will be assessed at the point where they go to
you can't make that guarantee.
Well, it doesn't mean support falls away, because other support will be available, but it doesn't mean all plans fall away either. They'll be assessed according to that, but every child will have whatever they need according to the support that they need, but we won't be taking or making any changes until all the new provision is in place.
Finally, I asked about the former Hartlepool MP Peter Mandelson being arrested then released on bail. He's been accused of passing sensitive government information to the paedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. What's your reaction to him being arrested earlier this week?
Well, there's now a criminal investigation, and that investigation needs to run its course. What I've been focusing on this week is the special education needs package, the further support in for children, and of course yesterday we announced £117 off energy bills through the price cap falling. It's one of the measures we're taking to try and bear down on the cost of living, which I know a lot in the North East is going to be the single most important thing.
On Lord Mandelson, finally, your officials have been retrieving documents for the Times, so can you now explain to us clearly why did you appoint Lord Mandelson as our ambassador to the United States when you knew he remained close to Epstein after he'd been convicted of child sex offences?
Well, he lied to the team that was asking him questions in relation to that process. But look, we got that wrong. That was my mistake, and I've apologised for it. There's now a criminal investigation. What I'm focusing on this week is how do we make better provision for children in schools, and how do we bear down on the cost of living, which I think for so many people is the thing that they're worrying about more than anything else. We're just like queuing up, really.
Helping families with the cost of living is clearly what he wants to talk about. That includes breakfast clubs and free school meals here. The canteen staff didn't bring the Prime Minister to tears today, but there's still a fair chance he'll get the chop from Labour MPs before long.
And Tom joins us in the studio now with more. Tom, as we've seen lots discussed with the Prime Minister today, what are your takeaways from what you had to say?
Hemi, firstly, there are new figures out today showing a rise in the number of young people not in education, employment or training. It's been reported the government are considering slowing down their plans to increase the minimum wage for 18 to 20-year-olds. So we saw the Prime Minister really slap that down there, saying it's something they've committed to. I'm surprised he didn't also mention in his answer the Mission North East scheme, which will see schools here working together to try to improve standards. That was announced earlier this week alongside those reforms to special education, which I think have gone down about as well as the government could have hoped. Finally, Lord Mandelson's representatives have said that he is focused on clearing his name, but some documents relating to his appointment as US ambassador could be released as soon as next week and bring further questions about the Prime Minister's judgment.
OK, Tom, thank you very much indeed.
Well, now to another example of that send system that's been widely described as broken, with one of our councils having to pay compensation after a teenager with special needs wasn't able to attend education for nearly 3 years.
North Tyneside Council was investigated by the local government ombudsman for twice failing to provide alternative provision for the boy in what they called a serious and dire case.
His family, who would like to remain anonymous, were awarded almost £6,000 in compensation, as Katie Cole reports.
It was just a horrific situation. You want your child to be well, and he wasn't well because he was under a lot of stress because he's constantly being told you need to get into school, but there was no way to support him to do that.
When this woman's son, who is autistic and has ADHD, struggled to go into school, it was North Tyneside Council's job to put alternative education in place. But it didn't for almost 3 years. She had to give up work and do what she could for him from home.
He went through a period where he was really unhappy, really probably depressed, I would say, because he was beating himself up. He felt like he wasn't achieving anything.
Baking was often the only way she could get her son to come out of his room. When the local government ombudsman got involved, the council said they would give them IT equipment so he could interact with lessons from home. But it was a broken promise.
It makes me really, really sad that he wants to go on to sixth form, and he academically absolutely is capable of that. He's not going to get the grades that he's capable of because he's just missed so much.
Twice the ombudsman investigated the council about this pupil's lack of support. Complaints about SEND provision make up 30% of its cases.
In this case, we're able to recommend that North Tyneside take action and take steps to make sure this doesn't happen again.
How would you describe the failures of this council in this case?
Very serious, potentially quite dire. This was a very tricky and stressful time for the family. Any family watching this will know exam time is a really pressured time for any family, but to have a lack of education, a lack of support on top of that is only going to cause even more stress.
North Tyneside Council says IT security restrictions meant the technology couldn't be provided, and it accepts it let the family down.
I'm deeply sorry that this happened. We accept the Ombudsman's findings in full, and we're working hard to put that right for children in the future. We're going to be spending time with the child's parents and family to understand their lived experience, to inform the work that we do.
The pupil is now in an education setting for a few hours a week as he prepares for his GCSEs, including in food technology. They've also added some private tutoring into the mix after being awarded £6,000 in compensation from the council.
The money is a drop in the ocean compared to what it's cost us. I mean, I've got no salary now. I'll put a cost on it. I mean, that's those years of his life, of our lives. Yeah, it's a drop in the ocean.
Crucial years of education missed. This family just hope their story is a recipe for change. Katie Cole, ITV News, North Tyneside.
Well, next tonight to the wildfires that raged across the North Yorkshire moors in the summer. They left miles of land scorched and burned, while people risked their lives to put them out.
The cause was revealed by fire services today. And as our correspondent Craig Easthill reports, the legacy of the fires could last for hundreds of years.
It was an environmental catastrophe that slowly burned its way through 10 square miles of North Yorkshire countryside last summer. Fire crews from across the country battling for 40 days and 40 nights to try and control a menace that raged at temperatures of more than 600 degrees Celsius. And now we know the cause. Someone cooking on an open flame in the countryside with a second fire started by a discarded cigarette.
We recognise now that this has been human behaviour, but when this does go into the public domain, it's one around the consequences of people and being mindful to people around that this could have been more, significant, and thank goodness there wasn't any loss of life or any significant injuries to our firefighters. It could have been much worse.
And those fires weren't just the scourge of a few weeks last summer. They've left behind a burned out, blackened legacy of ruined moorland that goes on for acre after acre after acre.
By the Tuesday morning, all of this was just a wall of black smoke.
George Cromack's family have farmed here for 2 centuries, but in hours he saw 80 acres burned away. And how long before this land's back workable again for you?
Estimations we've been given are 7 to 10 years.
7 to 10 years?
Yes, due to the fact that the fire went down and went so deep. It'd be a long time before things the root damage, things regrow. Yeah, that's the optimistic estimate, so I'm told. Anger, there's frustration, there is that slight fear. Could it happen again? I'm quite sure when the tourism season begins in the summer and people return, they'll be quite shocked. They realise, well, it hasn't just grown back in a year, that's it now.
Cara Shardlow saw friends and family head up to help fight the flames. Just the thought of what happened, she says, still a trauma for some.
People getting lost in their tractors up on the moors in the smoke, nearly being engulfed in flames. There's 3 people that I know very closely that, could quite easily have lost their lives up there.
I don't think that as a government we responded quickly enough, so I'm calling for the community to be able to get emergency grants, so businesses and farmers to be funded in a timely manner.
These lands and the people that live on them and rely on them now facing a long journey back to what they were. And if lessons aren't learned this time, they know it could all easily burn again. Greg Easthill, ITV News, North Yorkshire.
Yeah, the impacts of last summer's fires still very much being felt. Now next, for the latest in our series on eating disorders and the calls for a more tailored approach for people with autism.
Now, it's estimated that around 1/5 of the people with an eating disorder in the UK are autistic.
Hannah Ludlow explores how a new landmark study is hoping to improve support for the neurodiverse community.
Student Tilly Wiggins has many passions. Playing the ukulele is one of them. But an eating disorder diagnosis at 16 stole those passions away.
It changed who I was as a person. It took me from being my bright, bubbly and often really energetic self to somebody who didn't care about anything anymore. I became fixated on what I was eating, when I was eating and whether I was exercising enough.
The reason for that fixation became clear when Tilly was diagnosed as autistic during treatment.
Having the awareness that actually I am neurodiverse and there are reasons and ways that my brain works that's different from other people is a really important step, because the world is so big and so loud and so different for us that we often feel lost. We don't know where we want to go or what we want to do, so we try and find that control in something that is ultimately damaging.
Research suggests that between 4 and 23% of people with eating disorders are autistic. Sarah Peat is an eating disorder specialist based in Long Framlington in Northumberland.
Those that are neurodiverse tend to struggle or find it more challenging to recognise hunger and fullness cues, and can find safety in routine and structure, which again can be applied to food. So eating disorder behaviours can be used as a way of managing feelings of overwhelm, anxiety and that sense of lack of control.
Autistic people with a history of eating disorders are being invited to have their brains scanned as part of a landmark study. It's the first time they've let cameras in to film some of those scans.
What we're really hoping to understand is, do the brains of autistic people with eating disorders, either structurally or functionally, look different to the brains of autistic people without an eating disorder?
Dr. Sader hopes those findings will bring more awareness of the autistic experience.
There are many autistic people who feel as if they've fallen through the cracks. We're hoping to inform on a more personalised and tailored form of eating disorder recovery for this community, given the fact that autistic people have poorer treatment outcomes, poorer treatment experiences, and higher severity of their eating disorder symptoms.
Getting an autism diagnosis isn't always easy, but for Tilly, it helped them understand why they developed an eating disorder
and put them on the road to recovery. Hannah Ludlow, ITV News.
And we will have the final part of that series on tomorrow night's programme.
Coming up later, a warning over the rising cost of scams. Fraudsters got hold of billions of pounds of our money last year. The Tonight programme has spoken to a woman who lost £28,000 from the inheritance left by her parents in what she believes was an investment scam.
I started to get really anxious in my chest. How heartless and hard these people must be. I went through a few weeks of calling myself stupid, pathetic, brainless, and really pulling myself to shreds.
That's the Tonight programme. It's called Rising Scams, What You Need to Know. It's on this evening from 7:30 on ITV1 and ITVX.
And the ITV Evening News continues after us tonight at 6:30.
So, double murderer Ian Huntley is attacked and seriously injured in prison. He's currently serving a life sentence for the murders of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. We'll have the latest. Too many families failed by maternity services in England. A new report finds understaffing and racism are major challenges. And the orphaned otters on the mend after flooding separated them from their mother. Join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Now, what do you normally get up to on a Thursday afternoon? We're here. But how about spending it heading to a big shed in the middle of County Durham and doing a famous dance from the 80s?
Some people were tempted to do just that because they were told there was a world record at stake. Amy Sutton can explain.
And we're just about to start an official Guinness World Record attempt. Good luck.
Are we ready? Oh, they were ready. Looking first class and waiting for the signal to get this record on track.
We've had it in our back pocket for ages that we really wanted to do this. It seemed a natural fit. But then we were thinking, do you know what? How can we bring everybody together to really finish off the celebrations of the Stockton and Darlington bicentenary? And we're like, do you know what? A dance will bring lots of people joy. Which dance should we do? We should do the locomotion.
And the conductor, well, the choreographer, he was getting everyone's engines stoked.
Had a video that went out on YouTube, so people have been practicing in their own homes with us up on their TV. We've also been into community, we've been into dance schools, all different groups. We've been holding sessions here. I'm the biggest Kylie fan ever, so that's been the bonus because, I have had to listen to this song over and over and over again. So, dancing in the street, easy for us.
And in the crowd, it was full steam ahead.
Really good fun. We've had such a good time.
It's quite difficult, but my partner made sure I've practiced in the house a lot.
Yeah, absolutely great. Atmosphere was excellent, yes.
Well, for someone who doesn't dance, it's probably a little bit more difficult than everybody else found it, but it was alright in the end.
Young people, old people, like partners, all partners, young partners. It was just amazing. It was amazing. The energy was just like, so everyone was like smiling. It was amazing. We had a really good time.
You have to get it into the mindset, so yeah.
The magic number to hit was 1,753 to break the long-standing record.
Drum roll, please. Today, you achieved 1,138.
The community came together despite the weather, and everyone was on board for some fun. Departures from Shildon with memories of a fond day out. Amy Sutton, ITV News.
There's some good moves on display there. It's such a shame they didn't break the record, but you know what? It doesn't matter. They just had a laugh, get moving. What's not to love?
It matters a little bit.
Well,
but no, you're right. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
They've all had a lovely time. Here's the forecast with Amanda.
Visibility is clear today, both above and below the water. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Hello again. Well, it's certainly been a grotty afternoon for many of us. Outbreaks of rain and blustery winds
in many areas. So the good news is it is going to improve as we go through Friday, and hopefully we'll get to see some decent sunshine on Saturday. That's before the next system works its way towards us on Sunday. So you can see as we go through tonight, that system which has been working its way across the region continues to work its way south and eastwards. And actually later on Friday and into Saturday, we're in between two weather systems. So hopefully for most of us, we'll get to see some decent sunshine to start the weekend. That's before, as I say, this system works its way towards us on Sunday, bringing another spell of wet and windy weather with it. Now, in the meantime, for the rest of tonight, well, still a few splashes of rain, and it will become dry for a time. We'll see some clear skies, those winds will ease off, and there will be some hill fog in places too. Like you can see here by the end of the night, that rain is going to push back into some southern areas, so a bit of a wet start here tomorrow morning, and elsewhere, quite a bit of cloud around. Still 1 or 2 showers, although it will improve. So for most of us, a drier end to the working week. The winds will be lighter than what they have been out there today. And we're looking at similar values temperature-wise. Highs there, 11 degrees in Newcastle, that's 52 in Fahrenheit. Then you can see as we go through Friday night and into the weekend, this low pressure here continues to pull its way eastwards. And we've got a ridge of high pressure building back in, and hopefully that's going to give us some decent sunshine. Now, still perhaps 1 or 2 showers around at times on Saturday, but for most of us a decent day, bright or sunny spells. But as I say, turning wet and windy in places again by the time we get to Sunday. Do have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne Tees Weather.
Thank you, Amanda. That's it from us. Next up is the national and international news.
I'll be back later on at 10:30 with tonight's late news. I hope to see you then. In the meantime, have a great evening. We'll both see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.